Let us now study about an important phenomenon called as Doppler effect. To understand this, let's define the phenomenon first. It is defined as apparent change in the relative frequency of a sound wave due to the relative motion between the source and listener. Is called as Doppler effect. That is, whenever the source is moving either towards the observer or away from observer, or if the observer is moving or if both are moving, that is whenever there is relative motion between source and observer, then the frequency what the observer perceives or listens would be different than what has been emitted. This apparent change in the relative frequency is called as Doppler effect. To make more sense out of it, let's take a case where there is an ambulance with a siren has been sounded. Think of the siren which has been sounded in an ambulance, and the ambulance is moving in a given direction. Let's call this as source. And let us consider that there is an observer standing on a platform. Let's call this as observer. What is seen is this common experience that whenever an ambulance with its siren sounding approaches an observer, the shrillness of the sound would increase, and once the ambulance crosses the observer, shrillness will decrease. Now what the ambulance is emitting is same. It is not changing its frequency, but what the observer perceives would be different. Now it is true only when the source is moving, or if observer is moving, or if both are moving. Whenever there is a relative motion between source and observer, the frequency what the person perceives we call as f dash, and let f naught be the emitted frequency. This will not change because the frequency emitted depends on the source emitting it. This apparent change in relative frequency called as Doppler effect. Doppler effect is a common phenomenon. It could be used for sound as well as light waves also, but here we are studying it for sound waves only. And the behavior of Doppler effect is different in case of sound or light wave. That is, there will be apparent change in frequency, that basic point will remain same, but in case of sound wave, the frequency would differ. Source is moving or observes moving, but in case of light it doesn't matter what it is moving. But for now we will restrict a study only to the Doppler effect seen in case of